Bo Schembechler is one of the greats all-time in college football coaching. In 21 seasons at Michigan, he lifted the Wolverines to 10 Rose Bowls and 16 finishes in the top 10. However, he was not able to accomplish a national championship, something that his protege, one of his very best, Jim Harbaugh, is one step away from accomplishing at Michigan. And Jim Harbaugh's hero, besides his own father, of course, Bo Schembechler. Michigan fans, think back 3 years ago. Following the 2020 season, Michigan had won just 2 of 6 games, did not play Ohio State after losing to the Buckeyes 5 consecutive times, watching Ohio State reach another national championship game. Ohio State had won 5 straight in the series, was clearly the dominant program in the Big Ten, one of the best in the country, and was out recruiting Michigan, yielding so much more talent than Michigan's top 15 to 20 classes. Many Michigan fans, possibly you, wanted Jim Harbaugh's head on a platter. Through the discussion and debate that we have here at the Voice of College Football on a regular basis, I became somewhat of a Jim Harbaugh apologist. Check out the videos. There are dozens and dozens and dozens and hundreds, if not thousands, of comments back and forth where I stuck up for Jim Harbaugh. Am I a fan? No. Am I even an admirer? Not really. I do see excellent qualities both as a person and, more important to this conversation, as a coach on the side of Jim Harbaugh, and I did then. Look at what he did at Stanford. He lifted a moribund program to top 10 status in college football. Then he moved on to the NFL and lifted one of the worst teams in the NFL, San Francisco, to top-tier status with 3 straight NFC Championship game appearances, the best record in the NFL during his tenure, the 4th greatest winning percentage in the history of the NFL for Jim Harbaugh, and came within 1 score of a Super Bowl championship. Then he comes to Michigan, takes over a program that was bringing in some talent under Rich Rodriguez and then Brady Hoke, but not winning ball games, of course. 5-7 in 2014, Jim Harbaugh instantly made Michigan a factor in the Big Ten and a really good team with 10 wins in 2015, a bowl win over Florida, and it looked like Jim Harbaugh and Michigan football was off to the races. But think back to 2020, coming off a 2-4 season, a 5th consecutive loss to Ohio State, watching Ohio State bring in the best recruiting classes in the conference, some of the best in the nation, and getting beaten in by Ohio State year after year after year. Many people wanted Jim Harbaugh gone. Now, I, in defending Jim Harbaugh, didn't necessarily predict this. Not that I predicted that this would not happen. And what we see here 3 years later is a complete reversal. And what Jim Harbaugh and Michigan football has accomplished is remarkable. Now, no one in any way can possibly know what the impact of the cheating is. And no one knows, including myself, of course, what the knowledge of the coaching staff and Jim Harbaugh in particular is and his involvement in the cheating. What we know right now is that there was cheating and that by all indications through the investigation that's been released thus far, that Jim Harbaugh had no knowledge of that cheating. There are reasonable arguments on both sides, whether to indict Jim Harbaugh as being involved and knowledgeable about what was going on and possibly even orchestrating it to a certain extent, or believing that he had no knowledge, as he continues to claim, no knowledge of what was happening with Connor Stalions. It's all speculation on both sides at this point. So let's focus to what happened on the field in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl against the gold standard of college football, Alabama, and what Michigan accomplished in Pasadena and what they have accomplished this season. It's truly remarkable. They are at the top of the sport right now and a betting favorite to win the national championship against Big Ten-bound Washington. Jim Harbaugh did not have a broken program, but he had one that needed to be addressed. He had built a good culture at Michigan. That was my defense. That was my position as an apologist for Jim Harbaugh 3 years ago, that the culture was fine, that they were winning 9 and 10 games a year, but that Ohio State was just simply a giant. Now, what Harbaugh has accomplished is even more remarkable, considering that Ohio State has not fallen off. It's not like Ohio State has gone anywhere and is suddenly an 8 or 9 win team. Ohio State has maintained an 11-win standard, but Michigan has elevated past Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh was able to recognize what he had established that needed to stay, and he was also able and willing to recognize what needed to be changed. Different coaches, younger coaches, more aggressive coaches, and he made those right selections, and he tweaked an already strong culture. I picked Alabama to win this game against Michigan. I was not sure about that prediction. I said it was pretty much a 55-45 selection for me. And I did not disparage Jim Harbaugh's postseason record. Even though it was 1-6 with 6 consecutive losses coming in, I knew that a coach that was able to prepare an NFL team for playoff games in the NFL against that level of coaching, win most of those playoff games, get to NFC championship games, get to a Super Bowl, and come within one score of winning a Super Bowl, was certainly capable of diagnosing the situation and determining what he needed to change to get his team ready for a big postseason game. My confidence, my faith was more in Nick Saban than it not being placed in Jim Harbaugh. Because for Nick Saban to lose a playoff game, to lose a postseason game, look at what has had to happen. Nick Saban, Alabama, the gold standard of college football for 15 years, has trampled everyone. And when they have not, it's taken a monumental performance. It has taken Georgia's 2021 all-time great defense. It has taken Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson, a generational quarterback and defensive front at Clemson. It has taken a 2014 Ohio State team that was littered with not just NFL players, NFL stars on both sides of the ball. It has taken special talent and a special team to defeat Nick Saban. I didn't necessarily know if Michigan could meet that standard against possibly an Alabama team that is really good, really talented, and gave it their all and came that close to advancing to a national championship game, but by some regards may be the worst Nick Saban team since his second season in 2008. I didn't know if Michigan would be that special. They have proven to be that special. And regardless of what happens in Houston on January 8th against the Washington Huskies, Michigan has had a remarkable run, a remarkable season, and they have reached the top of college football. Michigan fans, college football fans, leave your comments down below at the Voice of College Football. We deliver the best discussion, debate, and analysis right here based on your participation. We're waiting for you now, right here at the Voice of College Football.